Yo, what's up, guys? We made it. We survived. Barely. We narrowly escaped this storm. I'm so grateful. Prayers really do get answered. Let me know if the sound is good or not, too, because I had it connected to the Bluetooth in this van, and I just disconnected it, so it may sound choppy or it may still be connected. So let me know in the comments if you guys can actually hear me or not. And while you do that, I'm gonna take a few sips of water here. As always, my public service announcement is um, drink filtered water without fluoride in it. As you know, audio's good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, as you guys can see, I'm alive. I'm well. My house survived this hurricane. I tell you what, God is amazing. Because, like I said, I bought that house like 21 days ago, and I was legit concerned that I was going to lose it. I mean, it was looking like that category 4 was going to make a landfall right over my county, and it actually stayed offshore the entire way up the coast, which is just incredible. I've only heard of like maybe one or two fatalities that were more like freak accidents, like guy was sawing a tree branch and it fell on him. Unfortunate, but not necessarily as it relates to the hurricane. It wasn't from drowning or whatever else. So it was unfortunate, but it seems like damage was minimal. Obviously, it's taken aim at the Carolinas and much of the East Coast. So prayers up for people in Carolinas, Virginia, Georgia, I guess, and anybody that got hit in Florida that I don't know about yet. And of course, this kind of goes without saying, prayers up to everybody in the Bahamas, man. I mean, that hurricane sat over the Bahamas for 48 hours, damn near, and it was like a sandblaster just wiping out everything in its path. I've seen some just heartbreaking, devastating video, and it's tragic, man. It's so sad. But I'm not going to focus on that. I want to focus on the positives. There's been some great takeaways for me as it relates to this hurricane and how the people in this state come together in the wake of tragedy. When this storm was first announced that it was going to hit Florida, or it was aiming at Florida, we have a tremendous governor, Ron DeSantis, who has done some amazing things. He's getting praise from both sides of the aisle. Democrats and Republicans in this state like the way that he's governing. He's so much better. I think 10 times better than Rick Scott. And that's saying a lot, because when I first moved here, I thought Rick Scott had a pretty good response to Hurricane Irma. But no, Ron DeSantis is governing the state in an amazing way. He believes in a bottom up approach. So he said, take heed to local officials and what they say as it relates to the hurricane. Whereas Rick Scott, the orders came right from him, right out of Tallahassee. He's like, you guys need to evacuate, get out of the state when Irma hit. And a lot of the local people were like local law enforcement and local officials, county level, were like, no, wait a minute, this is crazy. So Ron DeSantis got praise for how he handled the situation. He was calm, cool, collected. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I voted for him, and I'm grateful. Not to say Gillum wouldn't have done the same thing, because when you're dealing with a mass tragedy like that, you're not really thinking about politics. You really aren't. People really come together. And with that said, I really want to talk about some of the stories that have been talked about on local news that, of course, aren't going to get national attention because you can't really politicize them. There was a story of a 5-year-old kid who donated his piggy bank, everything in his piggy bank, to the people of the Bahamas. So they interviewed him, and he's just like, it's important to take care of other people and blah, blah, blah. It was an amazing little story that a kid even recognized that if he has the ability to do something, he should do something, because we should take care of each other. So I thought that was great. There's also been a statewide effort to pretty much forward and pay forward all of our preparations and stuff. So everything from waters, batteries, flashlights, food, everything that Floridians stockpiled because they thought they were going to be facing a disaster is now going to be forwarded and shipped down or flown down, whichever way they can get it there, to the Bahamas. Right? I'm going to be this weekend when I have some time. I'm going to go down to the local shelters, I guess, or wherever they're collecting items, and I'm going to donate some canned goods, some water, just extra stuff that I bought. I'm going to donate that to the people of the Bahamas. And that's a great thing. That feels good to me to see people deciding, hey, let's take what we saved up because we didn't get hit with the storm. Let's take what we saved up and let's give it to the people of the Bahamas. That's an amazing thing. So I'm going to be taking part in that this weekend. So that's great, you know. And here's the story that really jumped out to me, and it came across my timeline this morning. I shared it on Twitter and on Facebook. There's a guy up in Jacksonville who went into a Costco and bought 100 generators to send down to Haiti. Or not Haiti, sorry. Damn. He could send them to Haiti too, but that's another story. He bought 100 generators to send to the Bahamas as, you know, as part of the relief efforts out of his own pocket. I'm sure that was probably a spontaneous decision. Who knows where he got the money from? None of it matters. The fact is, he decided that he was going to go the extra step and buy 100 generators for Haiti. And I think, or I said Haiti again, guys. Oh my gosh. For the Bahamas, okay? This was great because, first of all, it debunks the narrative that humans are just, that we suck, that we don't take care of each other. This was, and I think this is important to point out, this was a white guy. The Bahamas is mostly black. So I think it's important because the ongoing narrative is whites hate blacks. They want to see them suffer. Shouldn't he, based on the mainstream left-wing narrative, shouldn't he be celebrating? Like, yes, those black people, they're struggling in the hurricane. That's what you get for not fleeing the island. That's the way that they think. I'm not being hyperbolic. Like, they actually want everyone in the country to believe that whites just hate black people. This guy did some out of the goodness of his heart. And you know, when tragedy or disaster strikes, skin color doesn't matter. Political lines, it doesn't matter. I tell you what, if there were a bunch of anti-Trumpers, left-wingers, people who are just mean and nasty, they're progressives, whatever, if they were drowning or if they were in need, my human instinct would be to kick in and help them. I think that's what's more important, is when people are going through something, that the human instinct kicks in. And the human instinct is to just come together, to transcend the artificial dividers, race, gender, political affiliation. Did you vote for Trump or not? Nobody thinks about that during tragedy. The whole community comes together. You know what, also, I went and read some of the comments on the Facebook article that I shared, and I was actually really shocked at some of the comments I got. Some of the people were like, oh, they have gas down there in the Bahamas, so he could do that, but what about the gas? That doesn't make sense. I'm like, really? So you're telling me they won't have a future need for generators? Are you telling me that there can't be gas sent down there to operate those generators? It's just such a petty thing to point out. And I know those people who pointed it out just wanted to be contrarians, just to go against the grain. Like, it was a feel-good story. It's like, wow, this guy did something amazing for people. He didn't care about who it reached. He just wanted to do something great, something that was positive. He wanted to share his resources, and it feels good. And I don't expect it to get national news coverage, but those are the kind of stories that get buried, stuff that can inspire hope in people. Like, when we're so divided about everything, we can come together when tragedy strikes. That's what our most basic human instinct is, to help other people. I've seen some horrific car accidents in my time. I've seen a car get flipped over right in front of me. I was standing there and a car got T-boned. It flipped probably about 10 to 15 feet away from me. And while I was grateful that the car didn't hit me, I looked around and I saw people run towards that accident. People from all walks of life. They dropped everything they were doing, parked their cars, ran out of their houses, helped those people get out of the car. They were safe. Everything was fine. But it was one of those moments for me where I'm like, damn, people, this is how people really are. People are born good. I really do think that. Think about a child, a little kid who gets love, gets everything they need, is born a good person. That is by nature. It is only by social engineering and propaganda and man-made ideologies that someone can be radicalized and become evil and hate others. But you're born a good person. It doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are, where you were born in the world. Little babies, little kids, they're born good. They're innocent. And that instinct never really leaves you. And you see that when there's disaster, because everybody in Florida was pretty much freaking out. But people came together. They put their political differences aside, and it was great to see that. But for those who wanted to just point out something so petty, like, oh, there's no gas down there in the Bahamas. I'm like, so you're telling me he should go return the generators? That's kind of silly. And oh, by the way, what have you done to help out the people? Someone else also commented and said, we should be doing more for American citizens. I'm like, his money, his choice, right? How do you know he doesn't have friends and family in the Bahamas? You don't. You're just jumping to conclusions. And more importantly than even that, it shows we don't need the government. Think about how the left and the media, they trivialized Trump's response to the Puerto Rico Hurricane Maria 2 years ago. They said, oh, the Trump administration dragged their feet. They didn't do enough. They didn't send enough resources. Trump just didn't care about the people of Puerto Rico because, you know, they're Hispanic and Trump obviously hates them. Not only is that false, it also came out that Trump and the federal government did send resources down to Puerto Rico, but their government was corrupt and the stuff was just sitting on the tarmac for a year and a half. They found it a year later. But even more importantly than that, we don't need the government to get stuff done. This is something I want to highlight. I want to shout it from a mountaintop. Think about that GoFundMe that was set up to build the wall. That was 100% crowd-funded, grassroots, everybody digging in their own pocket, voluntarily paying what they could for the greater good of the country. So why do we need the federal government to raise our taxes and do all this other stuff? When the community comes together, when we trust in each other, when we have that faith that the good in humanity will come out, things get done. And you see it in a situation like this. Why do we need the government to send a bunch of resources down to the Bahamas or anywhere else when we could come together as a community and do that kind of stuff ourselves? And it could be totally voluntary. If you want to be a bad person and you're like, I don't want to give that money, I'm selfish, I'm going to spend my money on myself, that's fine. You're allowed to do that. Nobody's going to judge you. Well, some people probably will, but that's your free will. That's your freedom as an individual to decide you don't want to spend money. You don't want to help. You don't want to give what you can, even if it's a freaking can of SpaghettiOs. If you have a can of SpaghettiOs to donate to somebody, to give to a homeless person, or to send it to tragedy, you know, like a place like the Bahamas where it just got completely wiped out, if you don't even want to do that, that's on you. That's something you got to look in the mirror and deal with yourself. But I don't think the government should force you to have to pay for somebody else. Isn't this how it used to be? Isn't that how it used to be? Fundraisers, nonprofits, church fundraising for the community. I just think it's those kinds of stories that debunk the idea that the only way we can get anything done is by raising taxes and federal government. Isn't that the entire thing? Like, oh, socialism, we got to have this. We need to come together. We need free housing, free healthcare, free all this stuff. Well, what if an entrepreneur has extra money? Like, who knows about this guy up in Jacksonville that's donating all these generators? Maybe he owns his own business. Maybe he had an extra $100, I don't know how much it costs to buy a generator. It's like $500. Maybe he had an extra savings account just for disaster relief because the Florida taxes are so low, he's able to save more of his own money. as opposed to the government taking that money. Maybe he's able to save that money. He decided out of the kindness of his heart to donate that money to a good cause. Maybe those generators don't help out in the immediate, but think about after this. They're going to get hit with another hurricane at some point. Wouldn't it be great for them to have generators in the future? For those people criticize, oh, there's no gasoline. Well, why don't you help out and get some gasoline down there? You know, so that's just a feel-good story for me, and I just had to share it with you. I know this isn't a more popular video because I'm not focused on, oh, look what the Democrats did now. Look at these crazy leftists. It's just, it really fills me up inside to see the good in humanity. And I think we need to talk about that more, especially because the mainstream media is never going to talk about it. Like most of you who don't live in Florida, you probably wouldn't have heard about this had I not brought it up. And it's a story that I think needs to get shared, especially because so many people believe, oh, those mean, evil white people, they hate blacks, they hate Hispanics, especially in a state like Florida, right? Racist Florida. Well, Florida man came to the rescue, and plenty other Florida people, not just this guy. This was just a story that they highlighted because generators are pretty expensive. More than the can of SpaghettiOs, obviously. But it's a white guy donating generators, spending his own money for a bunch of black people, right? That debunks, that blows up the stupid narrative that even in disaster, whites don't care about blacks. It's all about the racial divide. That's just a big, fat, false narrative that keeps getting pushed by left-wing professors, politicians, media outlets. It's one big fat lie. And you have my word that I will continue exposing those lies and spreading truth, because that is the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is we are not divided by race, gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, freaking religion. We're not divided by that. We're divided by ideologies, maybe, yeah. We're divided by other things that are not immutable. You know, so just wanted to share that with you guys. This is not going to be much longer. I just had to share that. That's just great stuff. You know, when people come together, amazing things happen, especially in the wake of tragedy. You know, what does that say about the people of Florida? What does that say about the people of Florida that they can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that this catastrophic hurricane missed us? And instead of us saying, well, let's chow down on all the snacks and everything that we stockpiled, which I'm sure some people did, some people indulged. That's fine. You're allowed to do that. But so many other people just paid all of it forward and said, you know what, let me take all the stuff that I have and give it to the people of the Bahamas who could use it more than me. I've never met these people. I don't know who they are, but I know that they're suffering. I know that they're struggling. I know that they're human beings. When we come together, things can get done, and we don't need the damn federal government to do it. Another big story they didn't want to talk about a few months ago, last month, whatever it was, August, yeah. All the conservatives and Trump supporters who went into Baltimore and cleaned up the streets. That's what the government actually should be doing. That's what they should be doing. That's not asking anything extra for the government to sweep the streets and pick up the trash, you know, and give a facelift to the communities that they serve and make sure that the schools are operating properly. That's what they should be doing. That's what the limited government should be doing. The city level, state, local level government should be keeping their city afloat and making sure their citizens are good. But instead, you have people who decide to organize at a grassroots level because they have that divine spirit, that positive love, light energy, that they want to do something nice for other people. And you know what the haters do? They smear it. They're like, that's just a publicity stunt. Fleckus talks. He probably just did that because he wanted to get views on his YouTube channel. Well, if that were the case, that he was just doing it for views, good on him. Because he still did the right thing. He still did the right thing. You know, so that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to see what I can do to serve my community. And not just the community here, the community abroad. Like I said, I'm going to take at least the water that I have saved up. I have a whole bunch of like gallons of water that I can give to the people of the Bahamas. So just had to share that, guys. I appreciate you, all of you who support me. Let me give a shout out to this super chat who just gave me the super chat. Where'd it go? Terry, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you to everybody that has supported, donated. I see my subscriber count is on the move again. That's only because you guys are sharing my stuff. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. I am this freaking close to hitting 39,000, which would just be an amazing like hurdle for me. I've been sitting at 38,000 subs since May. And I'm not going to sit there and blame YouTube, because it's also like, what can I do? Whatever YouTube does is outside of my control. But I have the ability to do something about it, because other channels are growing. I do want to reach a broader audience. I'm happy to have the subscribers that I do have. So if I don't gain another subscriber forever, that's fine with me, as long as I'm here to deliver a message and be a part of this spiritual warfare that we're going through. Someone's going to promote truth and reality and freedom and liberty and unity and positivity and love and hope. That's what I'm here to do. So if I don't have 100,000 subscribers, that's fine. So just want to share that with you guys. Appreciate everybody. I'm about to get out of here. Got to get back to work. We went from a hurricane warning to now a heat advisory. It is hot as you know what down here. So I need to get done with work so I can go relax and get out of this van and go chill in the AC. So God bless every last one of you watching. Thank you for taking time out of your busy Thursday to watch me. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I go live. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on all the other social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Mike-nificent813. I should pop right up. God bless you. I will catch you guys in the next live stream or video, whichever comes first.